Well, we have gotten quite a bit of rain, and while we're waiting for things to dry out, we've got some work to do to a couple of these trucks. Tim's putting a couple of drive tires on truck 8, and we had an issue with the 900 here. We had a spring that came unhooked on the brake shoes. On this left side, Jared blew one of these glad hand hoses the other day, this red one, and this red one was one that I had laying around upstairs in the shop here. So we're going to switch these hoses out. We got a new set here of the hoses and the electrical to put on there. And we have a blown airbag that we need to address here at some point in time. We've got to figure out how to get that out of there. We might have to take this back rack thing off to get in there. And another problem that we have is we put new springs in this truck back in December, and we broke one on this left side here. The bottom leaf is broken, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get a set of springs here in time before we need to get back going again or not. But this is the broken leaf here, and we're going to be a day or two before we get a set of springs, and I don't want to take these ones out until we're sure that we have a set here, because we can't afford to have this truck down. So that's a couple of projects that we're working on right now, and it's a little bit of a tight fit to get in here on this on these airbags here. There's 2 airbags. There's one on each side, and we've got to figure out how to get that other airbag off it. We might have to take this back rack off in there, which is not a big deal, but yeah, replace these guys here. Then we'll have a electrical hookup and a couple of air hoses for spares. These are the straight style hoses. They're not these coiled up guys. These have a tendency to get caught and twisted up on everything. So yeah, got that from Amazon. So we'll get after it here. Alright, we're gaining on this project. That wheel drum brake shoes there had a broken spring, so we got that spring in there and we're ready to put that wheel on there. We took the back rack off so that I could get to the airbag a little easier. We had a fuel line that Jared wanted to replace, and the back rack is the toolbox on it. That bracket is broke out, and we would like to paint this frame on this truck at some point in time, so we decided to take it right off. Jared's got the air lines into place, and he's got to finish hooking all of that up. And he also replaced, like I was saying, a fuel line here, so we could probably shut this off and air it up so that we could adjust that brake there. And Sarge has gone to get some parts. We're going to replace the springs on this side, so we got to pull the front bumper off, get this wheel off of there, and start disassembling this side as soon as I see the springs. I do not want to take anything apart until I see the parts. So we're waiting for an airbag to get back here as well. That comes in on this right hand side. There's 2 of them on this truck. The one bag on this side had a hole in it. So we just got done fixing the tarp on this truck here. The brackets were all broke, and I ended up putting a piece of 2-inch aluminum flat bar on there to tie this corner back, and then I ended up doing the same thing to this right hand side. Now this housing was all broke apart, and it was actually about ready to come right off the truck here on Sunday. So we've got that fixed, got it tied back, and it should be decent here. Well, Andrew's just getting home from school. So we'll roll this out of the shop. However, we need to find a fuel tank for this truck. That's leaking, and I don't feel like fixing it again. I've fixed this quite a few times here. I wrapped the rear corners. I've wrapped it where the fuel tank straps are. That was probably 10, 12 years ago, and now it's leaking again up front, and we're trying to find a used tank for it. I'm afraid that once I get that apart, it's going to be all rusted out. And yeah, so she's dripping a little bit there. Probably could just unbolt that fuel strap, put a tire inner tube underneath there, and it would probably seal it up. So once some parts get here, we'll get back after tearing this old girl apart. Gotta replace that coupler there, it's leaking a little bit. So the boys are also outside getting the combine ready for corn, so we'll walk out and join in with them. Tim's putting his tire on. You're gonna clean up the floor so you can push that in there, right? Well, Jared's got this fifth wheel plate fixed that goes on the green diller. He ended up putting new rubber trunnion pieces in there, and what had happened was that kingpin plate all came unwelded, so we welded that back in, and then this plate here was cracked right at the bolt hole, so we plated it each side, and he's got that back together. This is made to twist a little bit, so we got to get that back bolted in underneath the green diller. And we got the combine crew out here putting the combine together. We've got this panel here. We take that out for when we do wheat. That kind of forces the material to the chopper when you have the chopper back. However, with the chopper forward, it doesn't leave enough room for the straw to come down off the straw walkers, and it will plug that up in there. Ask me how I know, right, Nate? Sure. So he's just got a couple of angle brackets to take off these corners, and then that piece is gonna set right into here. You've got the straw walkers right there. The material comes up all around straw walkers, and it drops down right in behind, or right where Nate is standing here. So they've got the screens changed. Actually, we removed the bottom sieves, and I've got to do some work on the front of it here. I have to set the feeder house grate and all that, and go from there. I gotta also put the tarp on. We took the tarp off because we thought we were going to be putting it away into a short building, but I never put it away. I ended up putting it up in the hay barn, which has a taller ceiling in it. So they're going to get that tarp back on there, and then maybe later on here we can get the corn head out and go through that. Well, we're getting right after getting these springs out. Got this side jacked up. Got some of it unleashed here. And then we'll set the new one in there once we get this one out. And we'll work on the other side. We've got our bulk delivery company is here delivering oil right now. And the boys have just pulled in this Louisville Ford. We call it the John Deere truck. It needs a starter. So they're getting the wires unhooked here. And they'll get one in there. Look at the O-light down in there doing the job, huh? Doing the job. Just getting her done. Getting her done. Got oil going in the tank there. What do you say there, Wyatt? You got something else you want to wash? You might? Wrong answer. Yes, I do have something else I want to wash.
Oh, jeez.
We're all standing here watching Tim work.
Yep.
Everybody's commenting how, you know, you guys usually watch me work. Well, it's not always that way, is it?
No, sometimes it gets like a state job or something.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, back to work here.
Going to town?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Both sides.
Yeah. All right, we've got this spring pack out of this left-hand side here, and then this had broke a while ago. It's the bottom leaf. It goes right there like that. Now I just put these springs in. It was last December, and then we didn't haul much manure or anything with this through the winter. We didn't use this truck until like April or something. And what I didn't know is I ended up putting the springs in wrong. There's lefts and right springs for these W900s that have this 3406E cat engine in it. You can see the numbers right here. We've got 59408 and we've got 59448 there. This spring here was supposed to be on the right hand side, and the spring pack that's on the right was supposed to be on the left. Now the way spring steel works is it's meant to only spring in the direction that is designed to spring in, and being that this truck has got so much power, it's all the time lifting the chassis up on this left hand side, and it stretches this spring out in the relaxed position. And when it kept doing that, it ended up actually stressing the spring out more by doing that than carrying a load on it. Kind of like a roll of harrow tooth. You know, like roll of harrow, if you back up, you break them teeth.
Yeah, they only
you can bend them. You can bend them all day long in the direction that they're supposed to go. You back up 3 inches and they break. So that's the trouble we ran into with that. If you're not running heavy horsepower like we're running in this old girl here, we would have never had the problem. Now the reason why we replaced these springs last year was because the eyes were wore out and they were real sloppy. Nothing was broke, but being that there was no part numbers on the old springs, I never paid attention to it. Now there's a number on this spring pack that I just took out and a number on the new one that I'm putting in, but there's not a number on this one on this side. Now the sticker might be on the bottom, but I never noticed it. They look the same and I put them in. So
well, you know, I've seen that thing come down the road, and boy, she just, you know, you get the right springs, then it's not going to lift so hard on this side and not so hard on that side.
Well, it's going to lift, but the spring is going to accept it.
It's not me.
You know, when you put this weight down on there, they come down about 8 inches. I had to jack this up a long ways. That jack right there was all the way up before I could get the tire off the ground.
Oh, you had?
I had to put the floor jack underneath that I-beam to get the I-beam to come up so that I could get the tire off.
Wow.
So, well, I'm going to go ahead and set this new one in there. I want to be chopping here by tomorrow afternoon, so I'll have to work on this other. I'll see what how my time goes, but everything is coming apart real easy because we had just done this job here, you know, back in December. So Tim has just gotten back here now from B&W Diesel. He went and got a starter for the John Deere truck, and Sarge went and got some parts for these airbags here. There was an elbow that he replaced right here. That had rotted off, and Jared had to slide the hose on the hose barb. Now, I talked earlier, we're not going to bother putting the backpack or the, whatever the heck you call that, headache rack. We're not going to bother putting that back on here. I would like to have these frames sandblasted on these road tractors and repainted here this winter. I bought this truck in 2012 and painted it in the winter of 13, and you know, this looked really nice. I even polished the tanks and the wheels and everything on it, and being that we're running in the salt and whatever, it's really taking its toll. Plus this old girl's 21 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got some old equipment, but you know, they stay pretty good. Take care of them.
Yeah. Except that old bear over there.
Well, we just keep that one going, that's all.
Yeah.
It doesn't go off road.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get these springs in, and we'll join back up with you once we get this bolted in there. All right, we are moving right along. We've got this left side together. I see I have to zip tie this ABS wire, sensor wire, up to the air hose here. And we just have to torque the U-bolts yet on this side here, but I've got everything else all together. I've got the shackle pins greased. Everything is done on this left-hand side. Now we'll go over to the right-hand side here. I've got everything completely disassembled. I've got the U-bolts cut. I've got my shock removed. I've got the rear pin out, and of course I've got the front pin out. So we've just got to lift that off of there, scrape the mud and corn silage off of that axle, and then we'll set the new one, which is right there. We'll set that into place here. So this job is going rather easy because everything was apart here, you know, a while ago, you know, 8, 9, 10 months ago. So let's go ahead and get this out of there and back in again. A little doing. Alright, now these pins here are threaded. So that one's not quite lined up here. So we're going to have to muscle that one together to get it to line up. However, I should put my U-bolt in so that they kind of stay lined up. Alright, we are all finished up with this job. I've got both spring packs here that we ended up taking out of the truck. The left side had a broken bottom leaf. Jared noticed it one day. He was able to pull the leaf out of the stack and he threw it up in the cab. And we've been just kind of waiting to take care of this job here. Everything went pretty good putting these springs in. Of course, everything was all, easy to get apart because this was done only like 9 months ago here, so everything come apart rather easy. I had a little bit of trouble with the other side. We'll talk about that here in a second. They did an oil change on this yesterday, so we have been kind of dumping some money into the old girl here. I mean, an oil change is a service that needed it, but it had a fuel line here that Jared thought it was starting to constrict itself. Sometimes these hydraulic hoses that get used for fuel line, the insides of them shrink down, and you don't get as much fuel flow through them as you think. So he replaced a couple fuel lines. We had a bad air hose going to the trailer here that we had to replace, so I ended up buying this whole complete unit here from Amazon. I like these straight hoses and leads a lot better than I do the coiled up kind. We took the back rack off. That was, it had some cracks in it. We've got to do some repairs to it, and it just made replacing that airbag go a little easier. We had a broken spring in the back left drive axle on the brake shoes. That was replaced. Can't think of really anything else that ended up getting done to this truck other than doing the springs here. On this other side, on the right hand side, I had a little bit of trouble getting a couple of the pins to line up, but I ended up getting it after a while, and I also ended up stripping off the threads that go to that peg that hold the lower, it's the lower shock mount. It ends up coming through the bottom leaf of the spring pack there. So I've got to get one of them from Kenworth here tomorrow, and I guess that's going to just about do it for this video. This is what this airbag looks like here on this side. There's two airbags underneath the cab there. and we had to replace this one on the right side. I was going to get 2 airbags, but the airbag on the other side looks just fine. We probably should have replaced it anyways. Tim came back here tonight, and he's got a new starter on the bench that he got from D&W Diesel. They'll have to put that in here in the morning and get this guy rolled out the door. It looks like he has a soft front left tire that we better address here before he's running that flat. So that's going to do it for this video, folks. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you at the next video. No adult beverages were consumed while making this video. However, a few may be consumed while editing this video.